We believe at Blanke, Schein Wealth Management that information is power. Our goal is to provide our clients, friends, and family with real-time and relevant market-related information. Our process creates smart and purposeful financial decisions that improve your life, your family, and the community you care so much about. Hello and welcome. This is Robert Schein, Managing Director and Partner of Blanke Schein Wealth Management. Today is the 23rd of June, 2020, and we've got our daily updates for you. Thanks for listening. This is an audio update only, and let's get right into the headlines that are moving markets. My first topic of the day, US and China trade deal. There's a lot of noise and tension overnight. Peter Navarro was interviewed on a cable network, and he specifically was asked a question. He didn't answer it properly. His answer and the headlines read for a short period of time that the U.S. trade deal was dead. The White House had to backtrack, including President Trump went to Twitter once again and said that the deal is intact as long as China continues to keep their end of the bargain upheld and continue to be intact. But as far as the United States is concerned, the trade deal is intact on a go-forward basis. Now, if you've been tuning in on a daily basis the last months, if not several weeks for sure, I keep bringing back to the forefront the US-China trade deal. How impactful this is, right? We're going to see negative headlines on a constant daily basis. The rhetoric, as I keep saying, the words are going to get worse and worse. We're in a political environment, so don't kid you. Both sides of the political party have to be tough on China. But the actions are the most important thing. To prove this point, what markets are paying attention to, as soon as Peter Navarro said those words, the S&P futures basically were down by 10%. So immediate net impact negatively as soon as those words were spoken by Peter Navarro. And then as soon as they backtracked them, S&P futures jumped by 200 points. The market's actually up 200 points today as well, that the trade deal is still intact. But it was a major scare. And as I've been reporting, again, watch the words, or watch the actions, not the words. But this is a major market moving event, right? So the China trade deal and our relationship on a go-forward basis moves markets. And that's why we continue to discuss it and pay attention to it, because it matters, and it matters to markets. My next topic, U.S. housing. U.S. just saw in the month of May a decline month over month of 9.7% in U.S. existing home sales. So it was weaker than expected. However, given this metric, it also reflects that contracts are closing, which take time, which also is a lingering impact from April's great lockdown. It's influencing the data, no doubt. So the bottom line is we continue to believe that there's more of an economic bounce off the bottom, and it's going to be supported also in the housing area because we see the labor market improving as well as interest rates at an all-time low, and we believe they're going to remain low. So as we see housing sort of hit a standstill because of the great lockdown in April, we're seeing those numbers being reflected in May. Housing does take time to close. It's not like a daily market, minute by minute pricing like the U.S. equity market, and that's a good thing. But we do see existing home sales likely hit bottom in the month of May, and there's underlying supporting data, economically speaking, that shows that this could be a look-back number as we go further and further away from this, and show that this is a blip on the screen in the housing market itself. Our last topic of the day, Larry Kudlow was on Fox Business this morning, and he reiterated that we are not going to have another lockdown like we saw back in April. And he cited there's two reasons. One, we have the experience in the medical community on how to handle COVID-19. They're getting better on how to handle it, as well as the data that's supporting it, not only here in the United States, but around the world. But specifically in the United States, the CDC reported the facts that they gave to Larry Kudlow that he reported this morning, that 37 states have declining numbers in COVID cases. So they're handling it better, and the trends are better. But there's 13 states that have hotspots, regionally speaking. I've talked about this. Markets are paying attention to this data, especially the fact that there's not going to be another lockdown, if you will. It's going to be handled differently going forward. And that's going to be positive for future earnings and managing sort of businesses and employment. I think that's the most important thing. So the market is actually looking at the data. And there's some headlines that, the Financial Times around the world, markets look at this, that really are, I think, very impactful, because we're not getting the headlines in the United States that are anything but negative. They're all, there's not a headline that's positive as it relates to this. So we look around the world. That's what markets are doing. So we have to as well. So Financial Times, there's two headlines that say, one, Spain begins to accept UK tourists without the need for quarantine. That's actually a big impact because it shows that Spain is, they're ahead of us as it relates to COVID, but they're also thinking about reopening in a thoughtful manner. So that's a huge headline, and markets pay attention to that, as well as France. Here's another one. France shows Europe can keep COVID-19 in check after reopening. So Spain and France and Italy are all countries that are ahead of us as it relates to the pandemic. And they're showing signs of positive reopenings and also keeping everyone safe in the reopening post-COVID-19 as it's still with us. So Europe has some positive headlines. I wanted to report that to you because I think it's important to show beyond our headlines what markets are paying attention to. So that's it for today. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening. And again, like and subscribe, and also share with friends and family. We'd love to add to our subscriber list. So have a great day and talk soon.